My name is Nancy Crumpton. I'm 24, and until a few months ago, I still believed that no matter how messy families got, there was always a line they wouldn't cross. I was wrong. Sabrina stood in the middle of the living room with her arms crossed and her chin lifted the way she did whenever she wanted to feel taller. A smug little smile tugged the corner of her mouth upward, one I'd grown up recognizing. It meant one thing. She was about to hurt me, and she was going to enjoy it. "You don't belong in this family anymore," she announced. My mother barely looked up from her mug of green tea. My father didn't look up at all, his eyes glued to his phone, thumb scrolling like the conversation had nothing to do with him. I stared at them, my heart thudding in my chest. They weren't surprised. They weren't confused. They weren't even concerned. They'd rehearsed this. Sabrina had planned this. But I didn't give her the satisfaction of asking why. Instead, I grabbed my jacket from the nearest chair and walked toward the door. No one stopped me. No, wait. No, let's talk. No, what's going on? Just quiet compliance. Sabrina's smile widened. I walked out anyway. I stayed with my best friend for the night. We cooked instant ramen, sat on her couch, and laughed about the drama like it was some badly written soap opera. But beneath the laughter was something deeper, something heavier. Because the truth was, this wasn't sudden. For months, Sabrina had been shifting the tectonic plates of our house. Subtle whispers, sharp comments, strange mood swings. She'd nitpick tiny things. How I folded towels, how I answered questions, how I supposedly didn't fit the family vibe. At first I thought she just wanted attention. But now it felt calculated, like she needed me gone. 2 days later, I found out why. I was walking down the stairs when I noticed luggage by the front door. 3 large suitcases, zipped and tagged, and ready to go. Mom was in a sundress. Dad had a bright floral shirt on. I didn't even know they were leaving for a family vacation. "What are you going to do while we're gone?" Sabrina said, leaning against the banister with a smirk. "I don't know," I said lightly. "Hope they take you to a mental hospital?" Her face twisted violently. My mother immediately rushed to her. My father muttered something about being nicer without looking up from his phone. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" Mom said, her favorite sentence. I shrugged, because I prefer staying sane. Sabrina gasped dramatically, hand to her chest, milking every ounce of attention like a professional. When they finally left, the house fell into a silence so pure it felt sacred. No shouting, no tension, no Sabrina orchestrating chaos. For 2 full days, I enjoyed actual peace. Real peace. I cleaned my room, blasted music, made pancakes in the kitchen without someone hovering behind me, criticizing the batter's thickness. But peace doesn't last in my family. It never does. The first call from Sabrina came as I was flipping pancakes. I ignored it. Then another, and another. By the time I sat down to eat, she'd called 7 times. Curious and slightly annoyed, I answered the 8th. "What do you want?" I asked. Her voice was panicked. "We've been robbed, on vacation. They stole everything. We're stranded without money, without cards. Nancy, we need your help." I blinked. "So, the universe sent you a reality check?" "Nancy, this isn't funny." "I don't know," I said sweetly. "Sounds hilarious from here." "This is serious." "Did you tell Mike?" I asked casually. "No," she snapped. "Shame. Maybe he could teach you how to not be awful at life." "Nancy!" I smirked and tapped the call disconnect button. She called again and again. Eventually, my text notifications buzzed like an angry beehive. "You're heartless. We're family. Help us. Mom said you owe us. Pick up now." I texted back only once. "Sorry, I'm just the roommate. Good luck." Then I turned my phone off. 2 days later, I woke up to a single text from Sabrina. "We're coming home. Thanks for nothing." I shrugged, then made coffee. When they stormed into the house later that afternoon, Sabrina led the charge, furious, dripping ocean water and indignation. "You're heartless," she screamed. "You told me I had no place in the family," I said calmly. "So why would I help?" Dad glared. "We were stranded in a foreign country." I raised an eyebrow. "Imagine being stranded in your own family." Mom sighed dramatically. "Why do you always have to make everything so difficult? Families help each other." "Funny," I said, because last week I was apparently dead weight. Mike, Sabrina's husband, shifted uncomfortably before finally murmuring, "You can't treat people like trash and expect them to care when you're in trouble." It was the first time, ever, that anyone had defended me. Sabrina's eyes widened. She was shocked he dared. Dad quickly stepped between us, trying to turn it into some let's all calm down lecture. I picked up my bag. "I'm done," I said. "I'm not living in this circus anymore." I left that night. My grandmother opened the door before I even knocked. "You don't have to explain," she said. "Get inside." I did, For the first time in years, I slept through the night. 2 days later, everything changed again. I received a call from a number I didn't know. This is Detective Ramirez. Your sister has filed a report claiming you threatened her before their vacation. My heart dropped. What? No, that never happened. We need you to come in to give a statement. My grandmother squeezed my hand. That girl has no shame, she muttered. But don't worry, lies fall apart. The next morning, we went to the police station. Detective Ramirez was young, sharp-eyed, surprisingly kind. Your sister says you threatened physical harm, he said. I laughed bitterly. If she said I threatened to steal her spotlight, maybe. He smirked despite himself. When he interviewed her, she couldn't provide details. Her story contradicted itself. She blamed jet lag, memory fog, the trauma of being robbed. He sighed. It's clearly a personal vendetta. We're dropping the case. Just be careful. People like this don't stop easily. I returned to my grandmother's house feeling a mix of relief and cold fury. She handed me an envelope. This came for you earlier. I opened it, a single note in rushed handwriting. I need to talk to you. It's important. Mike. My stomach tightened. Why would Mike, of all people, reach out to me privately? What could he possibly want to say? Against every instinct I had, I picked up my phone and dialed his number. He answered immediately. Nancy, thank God. I didn't know if you'd even read the letter. What's going on? It's Sabrina, he said, voice tight with fear. She's hiding something big, and I don't know who else to turn to. My blood ran cold. What do you mean hiding something? I can't say over the phone, he whispered. Can we meet in person? I should have said no. I should have protected myself. But something in his voice, desperation maybe, stopped me. Fine, I said, but it better be good. We set a time. Tomorrow. A diner outside of town. And I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever he was about to tell me would turn everything I thought I knew into dust. The diner Mike chose sat on a quiet country road, the kind of place where time seemed to move slower and the air always smelled like bacon grease and old coffee. When I walked in, he was already there, sitting in a corner booth, elbows on the table, hands clasped like he was trying to keep them from shaking. He looked nothing like the calm, neutral man who had married Sabrina. This version of him was pale, hollow-eyed, and terrified. He motioned for me to sit, then leaned forward immediately. She lied, Nancy, he whispered harshly. About everything. I lifted an eyebrow. You're going to have to be more specific. She lies about what she ate for lunch. He shook his head. No, I mean everything. The robbery? It wasn't random. The air between us shifted. What do you mean it wasn't random? He rubbed his face with both hands. She planned it, he said. Your sister. She set us up. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. Mike, that's insane. No, he said, voice trembling. It's real. I have proof. He reached into his pocket and slid his phone toward me. Text messages, screenshots, bank transfers, a contact labeled only with an emoji and a first initial, a string of messages about investment opportunities, liquidating funds, and, my blood froze, instructions Sabrina gave about where they would be, what time, and what luggage they'd have. She didn't lose our money, he said. She handed it over. What for? To pay off someone she owed. And then she told me the robbery was some freak accident. But when I confronted her, she broke. He swallowed hard. She said she was going to fix it, that she'd double the money with some business deal. His voice cracked. Nancy, she drained my accounts. She cleaned out our savings. She's in debt up to her neck with people I don't even want to think about. And now she's desperate. I sat back, breath shaky. This wasn't ordinary Sabrina manipulation. This wasn't her stealing attention, twisting stories, or crafting dramas. This was criminal. This was dangerous. This was something she couldn't charm her way out of. Why are you telling me this? I asked quietly. Because she filed a false police report against you, he said. She tried to frame you to distract everyone. If you were in trouble, nobody would look too closely at her. My stomach turned. It all aligned too perfectly. A family exile. A humiliating you don't belong. A sudden vacation Sabrina knew I wouldn't be on. A staged robbery, a false report. She wanted me out of the way, not emotionally, legally. A clean slate for her secrets to stay buried. For a moment I felt the familiar anger rise up, but beneath it was something I didn't expect. Pity. Because what kind of chaos must her life be in to push her into something this extreme? I don't know what to do, Mike said softly. I can't trust her, and your parents, they'll just take her side. You're the only one who sees her clearly. I looked at him closely. His hands were trembling. He wasn't exaggerating. He was afraid of her. And that was new. I folded my arms. If you want my help, you have to be willing to expose her. Completely. No more covering for her. No more excuses. His eyes darted down. I'll try, he whispered. Try isn't enough. He nodded, but something told me he wasn't fully ready. The next morning, my grandmother opened the door to find Mike standing on the porch, ashen, sweaty, and on the verge of collapsing. She knows, he said. I told her I found everything. What happened? I asked. She screamed at me for an hour, denied everything, then admitted it, then denied it again. His gaze darted around, panicked. And now she's threatening to leave, to take everything. She's dragging your parents into it too, telling them I'm the one who caused the robbery, that I'm abusive, that I ruined her life. I closed my eyes. Of course she was. Sabrina was many things, but predictable was near the top of the list. When cornered, she didn't fight. She detonated. What do you want me to do, Mike? I asked. I need you to be there when we talk to them, your parents. If she twists the story, I don't stand a chance. I hesitated. Every part of me screamed to stay out of this. But I also knew Sabrina was gathering ammunition, and if I didn't show up to defend the truth, she'd rewrite the whole story. Fine, I said, but this is the last time I bail you, or her, out. He nodded gratefully. When we arrived at Mike's house, my parents were already there, standing stiffly in the living room. My mother's expression was pinched. My father looked irritated that life dared inconvenience him. Sabrina stood in the center like she owned gravity. There she is, she snapped, glaring at me, the puppet master. I snorted. Please, if I were controlling anything, your life would look a lot less chaotic. She lunged forward, finger pointed. You're trying to destroy my marriage. No, I said. Looks like you're doing a great job of that without my help. Mike cleared his throat. I have something to show all of you. He pulled up the screenshots, the statements, the texts, everything. My parents stared, going pale. My mother pressed a hand to her mouth. My father's shoulders slumped like a man who'd been carrying a fragile fantasy and finally dropped it. Sabrina instantly switched tactics. This is your fault, she screamed at me. You poisoned him. You turned everyone against me. I stayed still. No, I said, voice low. You did that all by yourself. You're jealous, she shouted. Of what? I asked. Your debt? Your scams? Your lies? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. For the first time in her life, Sabrina had no script. My father exhaled shakily. Sabrina, we can't protect you from this. My mother nodded, tears forming. You need help, and we are done enabling this. Sabrina's eyes widened, betrayal settling like frost. You're taking her side? She hissed. No, I said softly. They're finally taking reality's side. Her face twisted into something sharp and feral. Then she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. Mike sank onto the couch, hands trembling. Thank you, he whispered. I couldn't have done that without you. You would have figured it out, I said. You're stronger than you think. But as I looked at the closed door, I knew Sabrina wasn't gone. Not really. People like her didn't disappear. They regrouped. They planned. And they always came back for one more hit. The day after the confrontation, the house felt strangely quiet, as if Sabrina had taken the storm with her when she slammed the door on her way out. But the silence wasn't peaceful. It was the kind that settles after an explosion, when everyone is still checking their limbs to see what's left. I stayed at my grandmother's place that night, and every night after that. She cooked dinner like nothing had happened, humming old country songs while I sat at the counter, replaying the confrontation over and over. She finally placed a warm bowl of soup in front of me and said, It's time you stop carrying other people's chaos, sweetheart. I didn't realize how heavy it all was until she said it. Over the next few days, everything unraveled, fast. Sabrina moved out of Mike's house the morning after the confrontation. She didn't leave quietly. According to the neighbors, she dragged suitcases across the driveway while yelling into her phone, blaming everyone who failed her in life. She took some furniture, half their wedding gifts, and all the drama. Then she filed for divorce. Mike texted me later with a simple, It's done, thank you again. I didn't respond right away. Part of me felt relieved for him. The other part felt nauseous. Because once Sabrina destroyed something, she didn't walk away. She circled back to burn the ashes too. My parents tried to pretend none of it had happened. My mother sent a vague text. We should all talk soon. Families stick together. My father sent nothing at all. They wanted to move on because accepting what Sabrina had done required accepting that they had enabled her. And in our family, accountability was a foreign language. I didn't reply. I didn't owe them another conversation where I would be blamed for their blind spots. Life at my grandmother's house was slower, softer. She'd sit with me in the evenings, knitting, while I scrolled through job listings or apartment rentals, I finally started saving money, real money, for my own place. I realized something one night at dinner. For the first time in my life, nobody was yelling at me. Nobody was comparing me to Sabrina. Nobody was waiting for me to fail. Peace wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. My boyfriend, Caleb, stepped up in ways I didn't expect. We'd been together for almost a year, but dealing with Sabrina had always clouded everything. For once, he didn't have to hear me complain or cry or defend myself from some new family attack. He took me out for simple dates, late-night fast food runs, walks by the river, quiet evenings where he'd rub my shoulders while I talked through the mess one piece at a time. "Your family doesn't get to define you," he told me once. "You're not the problem, Nancy. You never were." I believed him, slowly. He didn't compare me to his ex-girlfriend, Marissa, something my sister used to mock me about. He didn't bring drama into my life. He didn't expect me to fix something broken in him. He just showed up, something Sabrina never did. Meanwhile, Sabrina was doing what she did best, surviving off borrowed sympathy. I heard through people around town that she was couch surfing, sleeping at different friends' homes, charming her way into staying until she wore out her welcome. She'd spin a new story at each house. Mike betrayed me. My parents abandoned me. Nancy turned everyone against me. No one understands how hard my life is. Same script, different audience. But eventually, everyone catches on. Charm fades. Stories fall apart. People get tired of being manipulated. And Sabrina was running out of couches. Weeks turned into months. Then nearly a year passed. I moved into my own apartment, a small place with sunlight that poured through the windows every morning like a promise. I set up my own kitchen, arranged secondhand furniture, hung thrifted art on the walls. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. No screaming, no tension, no walking on eggshells. Just me and peace. I kept in touch with Mike only once in a while, mostly brief updates about court filings or paperwork. He was rebuilding too, slowly, cautiously, like someone climbing out of a collapsed building. My parents didn't change, not really. They still favored Sabrina, still acted confused about why I distanced myself, still believed that pretending life was normal made it so. But I stopped expecting them to grow. I stopped begging for their approval, stopped explaining myself, stopped shrinking to make Sabrina feel taller. My time at my grandmother's house had taught me something. You can't heal in the place that broke you. One afternoon, I was unpacking dishes in my new kitchen when my phone buzzed. A message from Mike. Just a simple line. "I hope you're doing well, Nancy. Thank you again for everything. I wouldn't have survived it without your honesty." I stared at the message for a long time before typing back, "Doing great. Hope you are too." And I meant it. Not because I didn't care what happened to Sabrina. Not because I wanted revenge or closure or forgiveness. But because, for the first time in my life, I wasn't dragged into her storms. I wasn't her scapegoat. I wasn't the family punching bag. I was finally living life on my own terms. My story was no longer written in her shadow. It was mine, completely mine.